Revolution in action tonight. That's coming up soon. They visit the Philadelphia Union with coverage on the Sports Hub at 7:30. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Yankee Custom. Yankee Custom has everything you need to outfit your truck, van, or SUV. Yankee Custom has the largest retail inventory in New England with locations across New England. YankeeCustomTruck.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Kevin Majori has you next at 6:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. A finger roll is up and good. Score to the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You have dog crap in your system.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
They did nothing this offseason.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Corona, Gravely Zero-Turn Lawnmowers, Jackson Lumber, Team Impact, Blue Moon Belgian White, and FindMassMoney.gov on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Here's a high fly ball off to the bat of Jarren Duran. That one will leave the yard and give the American League its first lead of the night. Boy, this dream season for Jarren Duran continues here with a home run in the All-Star game.
You know, Jimmy, we did very little on the actual All-Star game today. I'll give you 30 seconds on it. That was a pretty good take. If you like baseball, again, you know, it's the old Mike Felger, if you like licorice, you really like licorice type of thing. If you like baseball, that was a good take for you last night. I still like the All-Star game. I don't expect it to be anything grand. I don't expect it to be anything great. But, man, I watched Mason Miller strike out Shohei Ohtani. That was awesome. I saw Shohei Ohtani take Tanner Houck to the moon. Anything Ohtani does is awesome.
Why aren't we talking about that more, by the way? Your Red Sox ace got his ass handed to him last night by the National League.
No, he got his ass handed to him by Shohei Ohtani.
617-779-0985. The Red Sox have an ace problem. Go.
Well, I think they do have a pitching depth problem, and I don't think you're going to win the World Series if Tanner Houck is your ace. So, I mean, I know what you're doing, Jimmy. You're kind of trying to be a prick back there. You are. Just
why aren't we talking about Tanner Houck sucking in the All-Star game last night? Sucking.
Prick take from Jimmy Stewart. Respond. 617-779-0985. I'll let you do that, not me, because I like Jimmy and he has the power to turn my microphone off. I enjoyed the game last night. I did. It's McCarthy in for Maz. We got room for you on anything you want. From the
I enjoyed it too, Matt. I'm just concerned about Tanner getting lit up by the National League.
I'm concerned about Tanner Houck breaking down, which is why you need to improve this team at the deadline, Jimmy. And is Tanner Houck truly an ace? I don't know about that. I'll tell you, Tanner Houck's pretty good, and I didn't see this coming. The same way I didn't see this coming with Jarren Duran. That's a good story last night. It is. That's a good story for the Red Sox. It's a good story for Jarren Duran, too, who 2 years ago, hand up, I did not think was a Major League Baseball player. Trust me, I did a lot of baseball hours ripping Jarren Duran. Maybe not to the extent of Tony Maserati, who said you should cancel the All-Star game if Jarren Duran is in it. Well, I think we should keep playing it because I enjoyed it last night.
If Jarren Duran's an All-Star, they really should cancel the event.
Just wipe it off the face of the planet. Nope. That guy's an All-Star. Boy, this really must not mean anything. 2-run tank. That thing still hasn't stopped traveling. Holy crap, he got all of that. And Duran said he, admired that one, and he generally doesn't. I'd admire that one, too. There was no doubt. Right off the bat. Man, that's a good story. That's a good story. Good story for the Red Sox. Good story for Jarren Duran. And we talked earlier about whether it's just another sign that this season is, special or whatever. I don't know if we're going to go the special route, but it's another sign that things are coming together for you. I mean, who saw this happening? Who saw this coming? I didn't see this coming with Jarren Duran. I never thought he was going to be this good a player. This is the same guy who couldn't play the outfield, was a mess when he came up, couldn't hit when he came up, couldn't play the field really. He's trying to fight fans in Kansas City because they got on him because he misplayed a ball in August a couple years ago. Remember that one? It was like yelling at fans. I mean, it was bad. It was not a good scene. Everybody remembers the image of him just standing there when the ball drops 50 feet behind him. And whoever it was for the Blue Jays had the inside the park home run. Everybody remembers that scene. I remember that day. I think it was on the next day or whatever it was. I said, why is he still on the team? Send him down to AAA. Don't ever bring him back here. You should have traded this guy when he had higher value. This guy sucks. He can't play. He will never be able to play left field, let alone center field, in a big league ballpark. Wrong, 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 wrong.
But what was worse is he didn't turn around to go get the ball.
Yes.
He just watched it.
No doubt. And listen, it was a terrible moment. It was a terrible play. And it, showed you, where he was mentally in that moment. There was no fight. There was no, Jarren Duran was not a gamer in that moment. But sometimes human beings persevere. And I didn't predict that Jarren Duran was going to persevere. I mean, opening day this year, he's throwing his glove in the dugout, and he's like, aren't there reports of him, like, banging on his head in, like, the clubhouse, like, because he made an error in the field, and he just couldn't get over it, and you're like, this guy's not going to fight through it. Because in sports, you fail. You fail all the time. I had a scout tell me years ago. He said, I don't want to see these guys succeed in the minor leagues. I want to see them fail. I said, what the hell are you talking about? He said, I got to learn if this guy can handle failure. Because a lot of these kids haven't failed yet. They reach AA, AAA. They haven't failed. They're just so good. They get there. But I want to see how you respond to adversity. And Jarren Duran has responded to adversity. This guy was a wreck when he came up, a complete wreck. And it's a great story. It is. It's a great story for him individually. We were all wrong about it. The numbers were wrong about it. And here he is. He's All-Star Game MVP. And he is, in many ways, he and Rafael Devers are the real catalysts for what's going on with this team right now. The real catalyst. Devers is having an MVP quality year. Jarren Duran leads the American League doubles, triples. He's batting .284 and .820 OPS. He's playing a decent outfield. Who would have thought that Jarren Duran could play center field? Hand up, I didn't. But I can admit that I was wrong. I wonder if the Red Sox can admit that they're wrong. And I guess that's kind of the question that we get into next. This is another sign that things are coming together for them, that this team is worthy of an investment, that they're just better than we thought they were going to be. Can they adjust? Can they get aggressive? Can they improve this team? A team that deserves to be improved. Craig Breslow said the other day on the Nesson broadcast that they're going to add. I mean, he basically said that. Paraphrasing, yep, this team, we can't ignore this. This team is going to... Jimmy, do we have the Craig Breslow? I feel like it's only fair if we play Breslow from the Nesson broadcast over the weekend. That way I'm not stumbling and bumbling around it. I think we should only let Craig Breslow speak in his own words. Breslow's going to add at the deadline. And to me, I think that's a good thing. Do we have
the Red Sox with the best record in Major League Baseball, as you know, since the 19th of May at 30 and 18. Are you convinced this is a playoff team and the Red Sox have to add in the second half?
Well, I think we first have to start with crediting the players on the field, the staff. But yeah, I think this team has put themselves in a position where we have to take them seriously, right? Like the job that they have to do is win as many games as possible, and they're doing that, and they'll continue to do that. It's my hope, it's my expectation, and we need to be thinking about opportunities for us to improve the club.
The whole "we have to take them seriously" thing. It is true, but it also acknowledges that they didn't take the team seriously enough this past offseason.
He doesn't sound excited to do it. He sounds like he was told to say this.
Maybe that's just his tone. Maybe that's just who he is. He's an Ivy League guy. He is analytically driven, no doubt about it. Maybe it's the tone thing. I think you're getting a little caught up in the tone with Craig Breslow.
I'm getting caught up in the idea that all of a sudden somebody who's coming in his first year on the job, it's an evaluation year. He doesn't have the manager he wanted. He's got financial constraints, and he's trying to figure out his first year on a new job, and he's trying to figure out what he's got from a player development situation and a major league roster. He's got so many things going on that winning baseball games in year one was not on his agenda because it wasn't his idea.
No, it wasn't on his agenda, but now is it? Has he pivoted? Has he changed? He would call it being nimble. I wonder if he has.
I don't think he has, Matt, and it's because it wasn't in his plan. Now, in 2 weeks, when the deadline comes up and he does something where he gets a Nathan Eovaldi, he gets somebody who's got a name value to Boston but can also help the team, not some nameless reliever who's got a high spin rate like Big Fudge Austin Davis we were talking about. If he goes out there and has an understanding that he gets a good player that Boston fans know or at least have a level of respect for, then he gets it. Then I'm wrong, 100% wrong. But until I see it, I can't believe it.
Jimmy, we have a Breslow cut number 2, the shorter one. This, to me, I want you, I'm not going to speak for Craig Breslow. I'm going to let Breslow speak for himself. Ask yourself this question. Does this sound like a guy who's ready to try to build a winner?
No.
It's a good reminder not to get so overly caught up in playoff probabilities day to day, because with every game that you play or every game that someone that you might be chasing or who's chasing you is, plays, those fluctuate. And I think, you have to zoom out a bit and kind of try to see the big picture. And, when your team goes on a run, wins 8 games in a row, that has to matter. That has to be meaningful. Again, we're here to try to win as many big league games as we possibly can. Building out a robust, healthy farm system is one path toward sustainability, and we have to be mindful of that. But at the end of the day, we're not here to win farm system rankings. We're here to win big league games.
Is that Craig Breslow or is that Dave Dombrowski?
That sounds like somebody who talked to Craig Breslow, who said, you need to say this publicly even if you don't believe it.
Who could that person be?
Sam Kennedy.
I don't think it's Sam Kennedy. I think it's Theo Epstein. Let's just do it. Again, I'm not going to speak for Craig Breslow.
You've done this Theo thing. I feel like this is informed.
No, it's not informed.
There was a pause there.
It's not informed. I will tell you right now, I'm going to let Craig Breslow speak for himself. Jimmy, if we could, Craig Breslow 3, if you have an opportunity.
Craig, as you've gotten immersed here over the last 6 months, your relationship with ownership develops, right? And you get to know each other better. Talk about the conversations as they happen now. How involved? What kind of guidance? Is it you going to them to sort of lay out your vision? Is it them coming to you? Here's what we're thinking. And, of course, the question we always have to ask, where does Theo factor into all of this as you get near a trade deadline?
Theo is obviously a great resource, as with respect to approaching a deadline, to the numerous considerations that need to be factored in here, to providing me insight, sometimes in terms of more day-to-day minutia and often more just kind of big picture. Obviously a guy with an incredible resume of success in this sport and in this city.
He says Theo is involved in the day-to-day minutia. He can lean on Theo for the day-to-day stuff. Isn't this good news? Isn't this good news for Red Sox fans? Craig Breslow is leaning on Theo Epstein. So you might think he's a nerd, Jimmy. You might think he's, not ready to build a winner and he's Chaim Bloom 2.0. Is Theo Epstein going to let him be Chaim Bloom 2.0? I don't think he will. I think that's good. Just hearing those little details. Does he say much in there? No. But saying that Theo Epstein, he can lean on him for the day-to-day minutia? Hasn't Craig Breslow in the past said that, he texts Theo just about daily?
Well, he has to. He's got no clue how to do this job.
But you know what? Did Theo Epstein have any clue how to do the job?
He was an assistant general manager in San Diego at one point, I believe.
So Theo was a number 2 guy and Breslow was the number 3 guy in Chicago. Was he ready for this job? No. Was he qualified for this job? No. The general manager of the Boston Red Sox in a perfect world would be somebody like Dave Dombrowski, who, had already built a borderline Hall of Fame resume before he ended up here in the first place. All right? But Theo Epstein was inexperienced. I'm not going to hold the inexperienced thing against Craig Breslow. I'm going to monitor it. And I'm going to say, is he going to grow on the job? And have they given him the tools to grow on the job? Giving Craig Breslow Theo Epstein is one of the most important things this ownership group has done. I was not a Chaim Bloom guy. You know that if you've listened to me at all for the last 4 years. I railed on Chaim Bloom. I basically chased the guy out of town from day one, all right? They didn't do him any favors because they didn't give him an old sage general manager to lean on. And when Theo took over, they gave him Bill LaJoy. This is nitty-gritty stuff, but Bill LaJoy was the old general manager of the Tigers, worked in the Braves front office in the 90s, and was like this old, grizzled baseball vet. And when Theo took over, inexperienced, theoretically not ready for the job at the age of 28 in 2003, they gave him Bill LaJoy. So that Theo
also had Mike Port, who was a long-time GM.
No doubt. And Port did a good job in 2002 as the interim GM in place of Dan Duquette after Duquette was fired. So they put a good support system around Theo, and that allowed him to grow on the job. Jimmy, don't you believe, by the way, that it was Bill LaJoy who made the trade of Hanley Ramirez?
Absolutely. And I think Theo's on record in feeding the monster, maybe, that Theo would not have made the Hanley Ramirez for Josh Beckett trade.
So you can say that Breslow might not be willing to do this stuff, but Theo might nudge him in the right direction. You're not giving this thing enough credit right now. The Theo Breslow thing, I'm all right with. Because there's a lot of Theo in there, I think, just based on what Breslow is saying.
I'm not, because I question this team and what they're saying publicly versus what they believe. In the last week or so, or 2 weeks, all of a sudden their tone of what they wanted to do with this season has changed.
I think,
I'm sorry, it doesn't flip on a dime like that when you're in an evaluation year like Breslow is.
I think Theo got involved.
I hope you're right. I absolutely hope you're right, but like Sam's talking about budgets and can't add, and now all of a sudden, like, yeah, the Red Sox have never had an issue with adding resources here, and now Breslow is like, yeah, Theo and I talk, but they've also manipulated those things. Like Cora and Breslow don't have a good relationship, but they're publicly saying that they do.
Right.
So this team manipulates and lies to the fan base. I believe they lie.
Teams lie all the time. The question is it good lies or bad lies? Like when Sam Kennedy says you're a liar because you don't believe we put our resources into this team, that's a bad lie. I get why you have to lie that Breslow and Cora aren't on the same page. I get that. I understand that. I just think Theo has his hands in this thing. You know, he joined the ownership group in February at the end of the offseason. He's only been on the job 4 months. Would it be totally shocking if he's nudging and putting this team in a better direction? I don't rule it out.
Here's a theory for you.
What?
Because on the record, Cora did his hit with Adam Jones a few weeks ago, and he told Jones that he has a great relationship with ownership. So could Cora have jumped Breslow and gotten Theo to needle Breslow about the deadline?
I don't rule that out one bit. Don't rule that out. Where's Cora in all of this? It's all interesting, right?
Because Cora's a master manipulator, too, behind the scenes.
No doubt. Who's in charge here?
Alex Cora should be in charge.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I mean, unless Theo wants to be in charge and then get the hell out of the way. Theo knows what he's doing. All right, we got a couple
He's the shadow GM, Theo.
I'm all for it. The Theo Epstein shadow GM. The shadow general.
The shadow knows.
617-779-0985. Couple open phone lines. Grab them. State of the Red Sox, Jarren, Duran, trading deadline, you name it. We continue next.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Hey, it's Hardy. Don't spend another summer trying to stay cool with your crappy old...
All right, no Maz tonight. Matt McCarthy in all week. To you at 617-779-0985. You want to talk Sox? We talk Sox. That's the way it is. I am good to the people, Jimmy. I am a man of the people. Especially when they want to, I'm assuming, rip Jimmy Stewart for his take. Hi, Chris.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I mean, I know it's the baseball hour, not the All-Star game hour, but thank you. Duran, great take, but the Hulk innings, I liked how he came back in that a little bit. I know it's just the All-Star game. He gave up the bomb to Ohtani, but at least he got out of it, kept it 3-3, right, guys? And then finally, I believe in Epstein, your guys, Epstein's take that he is behind the scenes, and I hope so, but because he has probably 1,000 emails from racing, from Pittsburgh, from England, you know what I'm saying? So I hope.
All right, Chris. Jimmy, did you like the way that Tanner Houck battled back in that inning?
No, because he gave up 3 runs.
I mean, Shohei Ohtani is pretty good, right?
So why did Mason Miller just blow him away?
Mason Miller's better than Tanner Houck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually accurate.
No, that Mason Miller at bat. Will you give me 15 seconds on Mason Miller?
Well, can I just say that I would trade Marcelo Meyer straight up for him if the A's would do it?
I would not do that, and here's why. He's a reliever, and I do worry about him staying healthy. I would trade Marcelo Meyer for Garrett Crochet, though. I said this the other day. And by the way, you would too. Kind of unofficial, but I do have a Matt McCarthy poll. At Matt McCarthy 98.5. It's actually still open for the next 2 hours. I said, which one of the big 3 would you trade for Garrett Crochet, who pitched in the game last night? 30% of people, Jimmy, say they would trade Marcelo Meyer. 30% of Red Sox fans say they would trade Marcelo Meyer.
I voted Marcelo Meyer.
34% of Red Sox fans say they would trade Roman Anthony. Only 10% of Red Sox fans say they would trade Kyle Teal.
That's too high.
Which I would say, yes, too high, but I'm glad Kyle Teal was the final option in this. That's the guy I'm not trading. I'm not trading a catcher who was drafted last year and is already knocking on the door of the big leagues. I've heard people in the minor leagues say Teal's the best catcher they've seen since Rutschman. I'm not trading that. And 25% of you say that all 3 of those guys are untouchable. So let me just run down those responses again. Again, at Matt McCarthy 98.5. Would you trade one of the big 3 for Garrett Crochet? 25% of you say I'm not doing it. 30% of you say Marcelo Meyer's the guy to trade. 34% say Roman Anthony. Only 10% say Kyle Teal. So there you have it. You do need to be willing to trade one of your best prospects, I think. Again, it's a baseball thing. And you know who kind of thinks that too? Maybe? Craig Breslow. Jimmy, could I get the short version of Breslow 4 on this? Craig Breslow, asked by Alex Spear about, yes, you have all these good young minor league players. Your Baseball America ranking's good. Here's the problem. They're all left-handed hitters. What do you make of that, Craig?
There's no hiding the fact that we are skewed toward position players, and particularly left-handed hitting position players, and balancing that out is something that we've been mindful of since I got here 6 months ago. And I think the opportunity to add pitching, whether that is pitching that can impact our major league team immediately, or pitching that we believe has the ability to impact our major league team at some point in the future, is something that we should always be targeting. I don't think anyone would ever claim that they have enough pitching. If we can address short and long-term needs in a single transaction, we should absolutely be open to considering that. It's just very, very difficult to execute.
So wait a minute. He said if we can address a short and a long-term need, it's going to cost us a lot, but we should be open to that. That is, Marcelo Meyer / Roman Anthony for Garrett Crochet. That is that type of deal. Craig Breslow did not rule that out. He didn't rule it out. Can you imagine if you asked Chaim Bloom that question? Can you imagine? Yeah, the response to that. What do you mean? I would trade Roman Anthony for a guy with 3 years of team control and he's being owed $400,000 for the rest of the year, and he's an all-star. What do you mean? I can't improve the big league team. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, here comes Craig Breslow, but I thought he was the same as Chaim Bloom. That's what I've been told. Here comes Craig Breslow, and he says, Yeah, we are way too left-handed. I got to start trading some left-handed hitters.
Well, let's see it then.
I agree. Let's see it. Let's see if it's all lip service.
Because until he does something, it's all just talk.
Okay. In fairness to Craig Breslow, he's been on the job for about 5 minutes.
Okay, he was on the job for 1 minute and traded Chris Sale for Vaughn Grisham, which we all love that deal in real time at that moment. We had to take that day.
Yep.
We're like, oh, we love this deal. They bought a prospect. Now the prospect sucks.
I actually still like that deal because I think it was important to get rid of Chris Sale, and they accomplished the most important thing. I wish they had gotten a better prospect. But the fact that you got anything for Chris Sale, for somebody to take Chris Sale off your hands, I didn't think that was possible. So, I don't know. I don't think he's done all that bad a job since coming in. Could it have been better? Yeah. Could ownership have been more committed? No doubt. Yeah, I see two guys in the All-Star game last night who really could have helped them. Teoscar Hernandez, who they wanted, but they weren't willing to go to 3 years. You want to hold that against Breslow? Maybe, but maybe he has an edict from ownership to not go beyond 2 years. Shota Imanaga. How would you like the Red Sox with Shota Imanaga? You want to talk about a pitcher who actually pitched well last night? Did you watch Imanaga instead of Tanner Houck there?
Good.
Imanaga was good. He got a 4-year, $53 million deal from the Cubs, which is nothing. Nothing. Crafty lefty. Oh, I love watching that guy pitch. He's awesome.
Yeah, but Breslow's philosophy is power pitching. Meanwhile, his pitching coach, future manager, is a spin the guy, pitch backwards guy.
So you're saying they didn't sign Imanaga because he's not a power pitcher?
Yeah.
They offered him a 2-year deal. I wonder if that's more of an ownership edict. You're not going beyond 2 years. We don't want any money on the books for 2026 at this point. I do wonder about that. Maybe, and that's a fair second guess, right? Did he not, value Imanaga enough because he's not a power guy? Yeah. At least I'll say this, though. You might agree or disagree with that, but that's actually a baseball philosophy.
Yep.
That's not a nerd philosophy. That's a, hey, I want power pitchers over finesse pitchers. Let's have a debate about whether you should place more emphasis on finesse pitching in this day and age in baseball and all that. But holy crap, that's a baseball opinion. Jimmy, that's refreshing. That wasn't based on a nerd thing. That wasn't based on a number. That was, you said Craig Breslow didn't sign him because he's too much of a finesse guy. Oh my God, that's baseball talk.
And that's just a guess.
But you know what? That's a good guess. Because that actually does kind of fly in the face of Breslow's, he's a stuff guy. Breslow, which is interesting because he was not a stuff guy. As a pitcher, he was a crafty lefty. But he places an emphasis on stuff. And, worked in Chicago. Let's see if it works here. Worked in Chicago when he was there developing their minor league system. Let's see if it works here. But holy crap, we just talked baseball. That was refreshing. That was really refreshing. All right, one open phone line. Grab it. 617.
Got to stop that and get back to TMZ talk.
You're right. And let's, do more Theo. Let's do numbers. Let's do analytics. Let's do all of that. Let's do Jimmy Stewart hates Tanner Houck at 617-779-0985. Drama. Putting words in people's mouths. That's what we do here.
That's not what I said.
But Jimmy, you're making my point. Here's Majori with the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
has the play of the team through the first half of the season suggested to you that you at least have to consider trading future wins for now wins?
I mean, I think I have to be open-minded, right? I think, as easy, as convenient as it would be to say, hey, this is the plan in February, and we are going to adamantly adhere to it, irrespective of anything, that might come up that would force us to change is just so unlikely to happen. It would be irresponsible. It would be foolish. I think those that I have seen have success in this position have the ability to be nimble, to adapt, and to factor in all of the considerations that one needs to be mindful of when approaching a trade deadline.
So here's my advice to you. Don't focus on the way the message is presented. Focus on the message. Craig Breslow sounds like a nerd. Sounds as Yale-educated, Ivy League-educated as you can get, all right? He's saying a lot of big words there. He's not talking like a lot of us. He's just not. But what he said there actually flies in the face of kind of what you've experienced here in Boston for the last 5 years with Chaim Bloom. He said, in February it would be ridiculous of us to have the same plan that we had in February. We didn't think this team was going to be all that good in February. Well, turns out they're way better than we thought. So, we'd be foolish to still approach it the same way. See, you're listening to the way it's being presented, and you're saying, oh, God, this is more of the same. When in actuality, everything he is saying there is a little different than what you've experienced in the past. At least that's my read on it. To you at 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy in from Az tonight. Let's go to Charles in Connecticut. Chuck, what's up?
Hey, Matt. Got to be on the show. You're doing a great job in Tony's absence.
Thanks, man.
Couple
Appreciate
of points. Last night on your show, you were talking.
Charles, you're heading into a bad spot. I'll try to come back to you, okay? How about Sean in Colorado? Hey, Sean.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
We talk a lot about trading the prospects. Here's one thing that I've been thinking about. If they believe all three of these prospects are legit, is there a place to believe maybe Wilyer Abreu in the offseason could be it? I mean, do you think his stock is going to get that much higher? It's going to clear that spot for Roman Anthony. And look, the Red Sox made a bet early this year and said, we believe in Ceddanne Rafaela to jump right in and play. If they believe Roman Anthony is right about there, do you think they might use somebody like a Wilyer Abreu in a trade in the offseason to go get that pitcher with control that they can turn into a star for the next 6 years?
Yes, Sean. Yes, I think ultimately that's the most likely path that they take. My guess is, unless there's somebody you really want, and I would point to Garrett Crochet as being that guy, unless there's somebody you really want and you're willing to give up, Roman Anthony right now, the most likely approach is that you trade Wilyer Abreu this offseason because you've got too many left-handed hitting outfielders. I mean, you've got to make a decision. I mean, Duran has established himself. He's not going anywhere. Rafaela can play infield, outfield. He's righty, but, he's certainly a part of your plans moving forward. Abreu feels expendable after all of this. You have too many lefties. He feels like the type of guy that's going, I am not trading him now. I'm not doing that. I'm not trading him in the middle of the season. That is a sign that you're selling. And Breslow's made it pretty clear he's not going to do the buy and sell thing. Like you don't trade your major league surplus now. You can trade your major league surplus this offseason. If you want to make a big deal now involving a left-handed outfielder, Anthony needs to be the guy to go. You want to trade Anthony for Garrett Crochet? Let's have a conversation about that. Because again, what are the chances that all three of those guys are going to hit? I mean, the math, if I need to present this to you in an analytical way, the math would say no. And let's go back to the Chris Sale trade. The Red Sox had three really kind of big-time young player prospects at that point. They really had four. Moncada, Kopech, Devers, and Benintendi were the four guys that could have potentially gone in a deal for Chris Sale. Dave Dombrowski made the right evaluation. He said Moncada's the guy to go and Kopech's the guy to go, and we're keeping Devers and we're keeping Benintendi. People ignore that. It's like, oh, look, he just traded Moncada. Yeah, that was good. Trade Moncada, trade prospects. No. The argument is he kept the right prospect. He kept Devers. Imagine where you'd be if you traded Devers for Sale instead of Moncada for Sale. You'd look at that Sale deal differently. Now you look at it, you say the issue with the Sale deal is you signed him to a contract extension when you didn't have to. It's not that you traded Yohan Moncada and Michael Kopech. That's for sure. How about TJ in Burlington? Interesting thought here, TJ. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? I had a two-part question for you here. One, what do you think about the All-Star game going back to deciding World Series home field advantage? Not that it's going to matter for the Red Sox this year. And also, do you think, the MLB should do anything, a la in-season tournament to get people excited about the league before July 1st? McCarthy, you're a legend. Ithaca forever.
You've got that right. Boy, big-time Ithaca takeover today. We had Alex Barth, we had Ithaca callers, all that. I do not hate the idea of an in-season tournament. I love that. Love that in the NBA. I'd love to see baseball adopt something like that. I hate the idea of the All-Star game going back to home field advantage in the World Series. Just stop trying to fix All-Star games. They're never going to be what they once were. Just accept it. I accepted it last night. I tuned in. I enjoyed it. I hate the uniforms, but I enjoyed it. Because you know what I was expecting? I was expecting a baseball game, a 9-inning baseball game. I was rooting for the home run derby at the end of it. I didn't get that. But I was expecting to see the best baseball players on the field for a 2.5-hour product, and that's exactly what I got. So don't tinker with it. Oh, ratings are down. Yeah, of course ratings are down. Baseball's not where it once was. All-Star games aren't what they once were. All-Star games are a relic. They're a thing of the past. But the MLB All-Star game is perfectly fine if you just expect it to be what it is, which is just a Tuesday night baseball game with better players than you're normally used to seeing on a random Tuesday night baseball game. And if that's what you're expecting, I think you got what you wanted last night, and it was a good, compelling product. And oh yeah, Jarren Duran is the All-Star Game MVP, and that's good news for the Red Sox. It's a great story, and it puts even more pressure, if you ask me, on this team to improve at the trading deadline. Logan in Oklahoma. Hey, Logan.
Hey, how's it going, McCarthy? Great to be on.
You too. Good to have you, man.
So I just can't understand why a big-time club like the Red Sox would not be in on Crochet, especially since the Yankees have already said that they are. That, along with Eovaldi and Vladdy. While you're at it, Kikuchi at the Blue Jays appears to be someone they're willing to deal. It just doesn't make any sense while your rivals are in on those players why you couldn't be. In Oklahoma, we have a guy that is running the Oklahoma City Thunder named Sam Presti, who plans for the future and the now. I just don't see why that can't be done in baseball as well.
Logan, you're spot on about that. The Red Sox should always be able to do both. And they've kind of acted in years past. I mean, certainly in the Chaim Bloom era, it's like, well, you need to be, it's about building a sustainable product, and it's about being responsible. You're the Boston Red Sox. You can do both. You've got 3 big-time prospects right now. I'm not asking you to trade all 3 of them. I'm just asking you to trade one. And to make a baseball evaluation on which guy should go and which 2 should stay. Is that an unreasonable opinion? Jimmy Stewart, baseball man back there, is it unreasonable of me to ask the Boston Red Sox to say, this is the guy we should trade and we're going to keep the 2 other ones?
It's not unreasonable, but for job security's sake, there might be concern that they trade the wrong prospect, so we're going to keep all the lottery tickets until we absolutely have to move one of them.
That is such a terrible approach, and that was the Chaim Bloom experience. You're too afraid.
And we'll see if this is the Craig Breslow approach, too.
I hope it's not, because I wonder if Theo, what are we calling him? He's the shadow GM?
The shadow GM.
Yes. What's the thing? I remember this. I remember my dad telling me this. He sat me down. This is like a life moment for me. Dad, you don't remember this, but I do. When Theo Epstein got the job, remember my dad, we were driving in his little Ford Escort. I remember the road we were on. The old 44 in Carver. And he says, when Theo got the job, his dad said to him, don't be afraid to make a mistake. I remember that. And that was like a life lesson. Go out and live your life and make mistakes. You need a GM who's not afraid.
I don't think Craig Breslow. I think Craig Breslow is very afraid.
I hope you're wrong.
Chaim Bloom was very afraid.
Oh, no doubt about it. Chaim Bloom was a wimp. He was. Chaim Bloom. We got a call from a member of the Bluminati earlier today. What do you not get about this? He was a terrible general manager. Terrible. He was so bad at it.
Should have been a farm director.
Yes, you don't get credit for hoarding every single one of your prospects. You get credit for developing prospects, accumulating prospects, and then picking the ones that need to stay and the ones that need to go. Charles in Connecticut with the thought on that. Hey, Charles, we'll try this again.
Hey, no problem. I should sound better now. Last night you were talking about evaluating the players, and, after the season ends at the minor leagues, you can evaluate it. Well, if the Red Sox don't have strong player evaluation for their own guys with only the minor league season, what good are they? And they know who they want to trade. They just have to worry about is Breslow going to pull the trigger? And my next comment is the Red Sox next year, their salary that they're committed to is probably $50-60 million less than it is now. They certainly can take on somebody's salary for 40% of the season. And obviously, if they get a guy like Crochet, for the next few years. Have a nice night.
All right. See you, Charles. Yeah, I just don't know if John Henry's willing to do that. But that should not be an excuse for Craig Breslow. You can improve this team without taking on salary. Garrett Crochet will cost you less than $400,000 this year. Guy was a freaking all-star last night. It's going to cost you less than $400,000. It's going to cost you one of your top prospects. So how do you make the evaluation on that? I've got a thought on that. I want to explain to you how the Red Sox should make that decision. We'll continue. It's McCarthy in for Maz on the Baseball Hour.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub.
Baseball hour, no Maz this week. Get McCarthy. As I said, you need to make the decision, right? Who you keeping, who you trading, which is something we've done a lot of today. Good general managers decide who they're going to keep, who they're going to trade. Let me just give you a little player A, player B, Jimmy Stewart. Very simple. Player A, player B. Player A, batting .241 with a .790 OPS, 10 home runs, 27 RBI. Player B, batting .301 with a .837 OPS, 7 home runs, 36 RBI. I know those are a lot of numbers. Any sense on which player you're keeping, player A or player B? I'll just give it to you real quick.
So I think player B is Marcelo Mayer, who I would trade in a heartbeat for a primetime player.
Player B is actually, yes, player B is Marcelo Mayer. Batting .301 with an .837 OPS and 7 home runs. Player A is Roman Anthony. Batting .241 with a .790 OPS and 10 home runs. Here's what I'd say, though. Meyer's having a good year on the face of it. He doesn't hit for a lot of power and hasn't in his minor league career. And he struggles against lefties. His splits against lefties aren't all that great. So the question you need to ask yourself, we've put this in, and this is why I do player A, player B. Once you say the name, people get this reaction. Like, oh my God, you can't trade that guy. His name is Marcelo Mayer. Then you say, okay, well, he doesn't hit lefties, doesn't hit for a lot of pop, is not going to be a gold glover at short. What's his ceiling? We keep focusing on the name. What's his ceiling?
Isn't his ceiling Seager?
I don't think he's Corey Seager. You were told he was Seager in the draft. He has shown me nothing in the minor leagues, and he's been a good player in the minor leagues.
Well, it's why he was the consensus #1 pick and fell to 4.
Seager has way more power than Mayer. Meyer's a hit tool guy. I would keep Anthony over Mayer because he hits for more power. That's just me. But that's the evaluation. You can say I'm right. You can say I'm wrong. That's the evaluation. Marcelo Mayer's not Corey Seager. I don't think he is based on what I've seen in the minor leagues. 3 seasons, he's hit 33 home runs in the minor leagues. 3 seasons. It's not a guy with a lot of pop. He's a hitter. He's a good hitter. Is he a gold glover? No. Is he a good defender? Yeah. Is he fine? Is he going to stick it short for a few years? Yeah. But once you start actually breaking it down, you need to get away from it. There's like this stigma. You can't move these guys. Start thinking about it a little bit more critically. And then you can say, hey, I'm not trading him for this reason. But don't say to me, I'm not trading Marcelo Mayer because he's Marcelo Mayer. You're not paying attention to who he is or who he's not if you're just saying, this is his name. Same thing for Anthony. Same thing for Teal. My untouchable guy is Kyle Teal. He's a catcher who's been in the minor leagues for less than a year, basically, at this point, and he's on the verge of AAA, and his numbers are good, and the scouting reports are good. I'm not trading him. Catchers are too valuable. I'll trade the left-handed hitting shortstop or the left-handed hitting outfield. I'll trade one of the two. Jimmy Stewart, Kevin Majori, Charlie, thanks for all your hard work today. Nick Cattles is up next. I'm Matt McCarthy. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.